of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming tonight. If there's anybody out there that has any questions of any kind for us, please send an email to the school board address, and we will answer everything we get in there. But please don't be bashful, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. I know there's a lot of frustration going on out there with the parents, but please send questions if you have any. Okay, moving right along. Can we approve agenda? We have a motion for the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda for the December 9th board meeting.
Okay, thank you. And a second, please. Okay, it was moved and seconded. All those in favor, please raise your hand. We got it. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda for the December meeting.
Okay, it's moved. Do I have a second, please? Okay, Ashley seconded. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand. All righty, well, thank you very much. Okay, unfinished business. Policy Review Committee update. Candace, can you add, you're on that committee, right? Can you add something? Let us know what's going on.
I am. Do you want me to give an update, Mike, or Mike Johnson, or would you prefer to give an update?
The only
I didn't hear
that I had for him was that we had a meeting.
Yes. I'll give a short update. I just didn't want to steal your thunder if you had anything you wanted to talk about. So we did have a meeting. It feels like a long time ago, but it might have just been last week. And we have been reviewing, there's some policies we'll go over this evening to talk about that we will need to discuss. And then in addition, there's some additional policies around family medical leave, other items that are outstanding that as a policy committee will continue to meet about. And then once we're ready, bring for a first read to this board.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Mike, do you have anything to add to that?
No, that was good. Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
Did we approve the minutes from the last meeting?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how to, oh, there we go.
Okay. We kind of got this a little out of order, but Mike, do you want to address the all students belong?
Before we move on to that agenda item, we're at the second discussion on unfinished business with board training.
I'm sorry.
I
I skipped right over that. Yeah, the discussion of the training. I contacted Steve Kelly about getting together with us, and he's left a number of dates that he could share with us. And I guess the first Wednesday would be January 6th. And I don't know if you guys think that's too early or not, but there's quite a few dates in January and February that we could do. The 3rd of February is the first Wednesday in February. If that sounds better to you, it's whatever you guys want to do. The 6th of January might be a little quick after vacation, and we could hold off till the first Wednesday in February or whatever you guys think. So, Lacey, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, my first thought is with staff that may want to be included with us, the first week in January may be a little bit tight for when they're coming back to school. And I would love for them to be able to benefit from a full 2 weeks off. So I think the first week in February would be a great time to target if others are available for that.
So I've asked Marilyn to reach out to Steve Kelly and then also to the board to coordinate dates and date and times with the times that he's given us, the dates that he's given us here.
Great. Other board directors, are there any specific dates that are that are not good in January or February, if you're looking at Wednesdays.
Are we talking evenings, just to clarify? Is it an evening session?
I'm assuming evenings. Mike, what did he give you for times?
I think in evenings, like from 5 to 8 or 6 to 9. I think that's also up to us. It's all going to be virtual, so
Okay.
we won't have to go anywhere, but and he won't have to come down here. But I think that's really flexible, whatever time we want, and whatever day we come up with.
I'm gonna.
Evenings are fine any day of the week.
I'm open too. I think they're fine for me.
Sorry, Ashley, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. I cut you off. No, same for me. But I think it would be beneficial to find out if Mark can make it, that he's back.
Okay.
Yeah, that may be another reason to wait just a little bit longer, Mike. Make sure he has enough time to complete his commitments with his parents and travel back.
Okay.
You want me to say then tentative? Explain the situation to Steve and say this would be tentative for, say, February 3rd. Is that consensus, February 3rd?
Would that February 3rd time work for everybody? If that's
Yes.
okay, what I'll do tonight, I'll shoot an email to Mark and let him know what we're thinking, but we're also going to wait till he gets back. So see what he says. And if it's okay with him, we'll confirm that with Steve and then start around 5, okay?
Just to
Okay.
confirm, we're focused on operating agreements. Is that what our focus is on?
Yeah, that's the main focus. But Candace, feel free to send him an email or call him and talk to him about any questions you might have.
Okay.
And really anybody, if you have any specific questions, either let me know or Lacey know, or call Steve yourself and, talk to him a little bit. I'd rather he had all the questions in hand before he came down. But he's also told me that those kind of meetings, he's very, very flexible. And we get a conversation going on something, and even it might be a little off the agreement or something, but he still has no problem changing to another subject if we want to while he's here. And we'll have him for, I think it's 3 hours. So, all righty, we'll shoot for that and see what works for Mark. And I'll make contact make sure, get everything lined up, and then I'll send you all an email and let you confirm everything, okay? Any other questions about that or? All righty. What do we got? The new business policy procedure.
Those were we just wanted to add our current policy adoption procedures so that, because we haven't had the policy committee active very much last year, just refreshing ourselves on what our policy says about how we go about reviewing policy, first reading, second reading, that kind of thing. So those are in there really just for information purposes so that we all are refreshed on that. So that's item number 1. So if anybody has questions, we can certainly talk about them and see if we can figure them out. Otherwise, I'm not sure if there's other discussion needed on number 1, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't think so, but any other questions, just to be sure? Lacey, we're kind of changing the order, but couldn't we go ahead and adopt those? And then go to the all students belong, just kind of keep it all together?
So number 1 is already adopted. That's just an educational purpose for us to refresh ourselves. So number 1, we don't need to do anything. We can move straight on to number 2 and talk about the all students belong. And then the new policies that the policy committee looked at are in 3 and 4, bullets 3 and 4.
Okay, well, we can go to 2 then.
Yeah.
The all students belong talking points. Mike, you want to get us started on that, please?
Yeah, I just wanted to for all of you to have some background on how this came about and where it's coming from. And with all of these talking points, you can kind of see the backstory on the development of All Students Belong. So it's there for you to look at, to just, if you had some questions how this came about, you would know the history of the policy and how it was developed.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that? Okay, if not, let's move along to the, can I have a motion to adopt those policies?
I'll move to adopt the policies that are listed under number 3. There's 3 separate policies. I'll read the first parts, not all the numbers after. So we have 2 ACBG, 3 ACBRG, and JHHG1.
Okay, do you have a second for that? Okay, we've got a second. Thank you, Ashley. Okay, any questions on those policies? If not, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, we're unanimous. Thank you very much. And then those new, the 2 policies, JB and JFCM, do we have, Lacey, do we have to vote to have those posted, or we just?
Those, this is the first reading for those. So I think we vote to post them so that we can get feedback on them.
Okay. Could I have a motion then to post those policies, please?
I move that we post the JB, Equal Educational Opportunity Policy, and the JFCM, Threats of Violence Policy.
All righty, thank you very much. And do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, Candace, thank you very much. Okay, any questions on those policies at all? Or we'll get them posted and you'll have a chance to read through, and then next time we'll vote on them. Okay, if no questions, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, we're passed. Thank you very, very much. Okay, next item, budget calendar. Mike, you want to give us a brief explanation of that, please?
As with last year, we put together a calendar of dates for the proposed budget for next year. And today would be the first date there on December 20th to adopt this budget calendar. And then we'll look to March, where we start to really begin rolling on putting together the budget committee, and then also the budget documents, and starting to move that into July, where we finish it all up.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? If so, could we have an motion to adopt that? Or Candace?
Sorry, I have one question, and I apologize if I should know this. I'm kind of confused what winter 2021 means after March.
Candace, Anna, I think that it's sort of like a goal for the March meeting to appoint the school board members, or I'm sorry, the budget committee members. But winter 2021 is kind of ongoing through all the meetings throughout the season.
So winter 2021 means like right now, January, February. That's what we're talking when we say winter 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, Anna.
Mike, do you know how many members were short on the committee?
You know, I don't. Last year, I think we were short one committee member. Is that right, Anna?
I believe there's 3 coming up I can find out for sure, but I believe there's 3 vacant.
I'm sure we'll be able to verify that and get any of those vacancies posted in the January timeframe. Correct? So that we can,
I would sure think so. We've got a lot of time there.
Right.
okay.
Any other questions? Okay, then all those in favor of adopting that calendar, please raise your hand. Okay, we're passed. Thank you very much. Okay, reports, trustee reports. Okay, David's not here. Mark's not here. Lacey, you want to start that?
We've had leadership meetings. I've chatted with Mike about some questions around really academic progress. How do we measure that with the state report card? Not state report card, but the state assessment. Likely not moving forward or in question. That was a great conversation. And just as a preview, I absolutely love the data that we got in Jenny's report for the high school. That really answered a lot of questions for me and gave me quite a bit of confidence. So I love Jenny's report. The other thing that I would say is we are working on doing a lot of community outreach for budgeting classes and financial education classes for parents. We're going to offer another Financial Peace University class for the community. It will be free this year, starting in January. It was a class that we held for the first time last year. We had rented the middle school and we had about 70 families go through it with great attendance, and people appreciated the information that was in there. So we're hosting another class starting in January 2021. It will be virtual, and we're able to get enough support behind it that we're able to offer it free for over 100 families. So that's, I think, a very awesome resource, especially after going through the pandemic and families are struggling financially and they may not have had financial education training in their background. I think this will be a great asset for our community. So we'll begin advertising that and getting links out on Facebook and other places so that families that are interested in wanting to take the class can do so, or they can reach out to me in any way as well. So we've been busy working on that as well. That's it for me, Mike.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Ashley?
I did the board policy committee last week, and otherwise just that's really all I have to report on.
Well, it hadn't been very long. Candace, you're still in town.
Yes, I'm still here. I love it. So also had a policy committee meeting last week, and I have set up a meeting with Mike for tomorrow to discuss CDL and technology. And so unfortunately, probably like everyone else, there's not as much to participate in these days, but those are the items I've had a chance to participate in.
That it? Deb?
So the only thing I've really done is work with the boosters. We're getting ready to send out a letter regarding our auction that we may or may not be able to have next year, but trying to get our donations, and we'll maybe have a virtual auction. I'm not sure. Brandon set up a meeting for us with a company that we're looking at maybe putting some new technology in the gymnasium. So that's kind of exciting. So that's pretty much all I've really done.
Oh, okay. About the only thing I've been up to is I found out I've been reappointed to the Airport Commission, which there's not a lot of meetings, but I think it's good to stay in with the airport, and hopefully over time, that drone classes or maybe something of flight technology, somehow we can work that in with high school down the road when we get a chance to have real kids in the school. So I was excited about that, but other than that, haven't done much. Okay, business manager, anybody have any questions for Anna?
I had just a couple quick questions. I guess one comment and one question, Anna. Love seeing the balance available in the general fund expected to grow. So that's great news. And then the school meal fund. I'm trying to get my iPad to wake back up so I can use proper terminology, but the food services fund, the balance available is getting just a little bit low. Are you concerned about that? Do we have a backup plan? Is that just I mean, that's a projected low for the end of this year all the way through. So hopefully next year we're getting more lunches and breakfasts sold. So is that the hope?
Yeah, that would be the hope, but we've actually been transferring funds from the general fund to cover food services for a couple years now.
Okay. So we're just making it balance out that way.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I think I just have one comment or maybe question. Is this Anna's last meeting?
Yes.
Well, thank you for everything you've done, and you make it easy to read all this and understand. So congratulations on the next adventure, but we'll miss you for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations and enjoy. Are you going to do some more competitive runs and stuff?
Well, yeah, I'm still doing that kind of stuff. I had hoped to do some traveling, but that's not going to happen for probably another year, I'm thinking. So anyway, I'll be at home, cozy at home by the fireplace for a while in my rocking chair.
Well, enjoy every minute of it. Thank you for what you've done. Oh my goodness. Okay, moving right along. Any questions for Joel, technical department?
I love seeing
Joel?
all the projects that you're doing, Joel, that you're taking advantage of the school buildings while the kids aren't in them and freshening them up. I think the kids will be excited to see some of those changes, especially the water bottle filler.
Yeah, those are actually pretty cool. We have one now at each building has at least one. The elementary school is pretty spread out, so it has two, and the high school has two. The high school has separate buildings, so one's an academic and one's athletics. And the middle school is a fairly large building, but it's clustered stacked. And so we got away with just putting one at the middle school for now. We're pretty excited about them. And we're actually starting a new project. If anybody wants to grab a paintbrush, we're going to paint the elementary school gym. Oh, Candace, come on. You're shaking. It's a great project. It's tall ceiling. No worries. We'll strap you in. It's going to be great.
I'm the worst painter you know, let me tell you that.
Hey, Joel, I love to paint as long as my feet don't get any higher than that off the ground. All right.
Oh,
when
man.
are you guys going to do that?
We started today.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, taping it today and painted the color, got some swaths in there to get the color. That's the biggest thing is getting, everybody to agree on a color. And there's so many different colors out there. There's a color called Whisper White we're going to use. And don't ask me what that means. It's a secret, apparently, because you whisper.
Good luck with picking the colors.
Yeah. Yeah. Joel, when I saw in there the criteria that you use to select the RFP bid, love the criteria. When is that process complete?
It's going to be completed. I'll have at the January board meeting, we'll actually be able to combine both you guys awarding the RFP and approving the contract. We'll combine those two together. Normally you would have those separated out by two board meetings. Like tonight we could have had you approve the award and then next month approve the contract, but we'll be able to do that simultaneously at the same time in January. And it just gives us more time between now and January to hammer out all the details of the contract.
Thank you.
You bet.
All righty. Any more questions for Joel? Okay, transportation. Any questions there? If not, special services. Okay, moving right along, admin. Any questions for the elementary school? Am? Is Amy around tonight, Mike, or is that you?
Me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Lacey?
I just really wanted to point out, Mike, I think it's fantastic, the detail that your administrators are putting into the reports, super helpful for me. And I think one of the things it does, there's so much work that they're doing behind the scenes to make this distance learning happening. And when they put it in the report, now I know that they're constantly evaluating the time and the schedule, even the nuance of adding 15 minutes for kindergartners so they get more time. Like, I think that's great for us to know, because I didn't realize they were like almost minute by minute evaluating the needs and how can they change the schedules around. So the reports are doing a great job of educating me on just getting little glimpses as to what's happening behind the scenes. So thank you for doing that. And I think it's fantastic that they keep adjusting that on the fly as opposed to just letting it ride. So thank you.
Yeah.
Mike?
Yeah,
Mike,
Marilyn, go ahead.
could we please go back to the action for approve the budget calendar? I guess I missed who made the motion and seconded.
Skip that part. We just all raised our hand. Nobody moved it.
That's what I
Oh, I
thought.
thought
Yeah.
you did. I thought you seconded.
No,
We could have a motion. Could we have a motion and a second, please?
yeah, I moved to approve the 2021-2022 budget calendar.
I'll second.
Okay.
I was just like, okay, we're skipping that one.
I'm sorry.
Debbie, feel free to raise your hand at that, because that's
Until next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for paying attention to that. That's one of the beneficial things about having like two people pay attention to the agenda. So I'm trying to I try to do that for Mike, since running the meeting, especially virtually, is a little bit hard. And so I completely failed at that. So thank you for noticing, Marilyn and Colin and Debbie for tracking. Feel free to call that out any other time if we start skipping that.
I was waiting for a little break in reports, so. Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. I blew it again.
No.
Okay. Any other
Fine.
questions for the elementary school? Okay. Any questions for the middle school? If none, the high school?
I have a question that's not school specific, but more knowing that we did student teacher or teacher parent conferences this year over Zoom, and I've heard anecdotally only that we had higher participation in some of the schools than we've had in a long time. Is that something we would be willing to consider to keep as an option for parents that maybe can't physically get away to come to parent teacher conferences? I've heard that many more parents were participated this year than have in the past.
I think am I on? Can you hear me?
Yep.
All three principals had discussed that, and Amy Hallie commented on that in her report on how many, actually all the feedback that the teachers were taking from the parents in regards to the CDL and how they could make improvements for that or the technology or what have you. But they did discuss the conferences online as something that in the future would be beneficial for those parents that cannot make it in person. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of having this experience online, is that meetings like this, you can keep them on schedule because people can attend them from anywhere. You don't have to physically show up. So we can, just pull up a computer and you got a member that's coming in. So, but yeah, they have discussed that and different strategies for having not just conferences, but the continuous updates and reports to parents on progress and grades and things like that. I mean, there's a constant communication on a daily basis about progress.
Great. Thank you very much, Mike.
Mike, one thing about the high school report, the data is great. And the thing that jumped out at me was how many kids that were struggling, and they went to work with the kids and started communicating and working with them on their grades, and the return, or how many of them, what the, you know, the ones that, I guess there are guys that had, people that had Fs, but how many of them are getting better, you know, after they contacted them, stuff, how small that number of people were, the changes and stuff before and after. That's great.
Yeah, they experienced the same progress with attendance as well, following up with those students who were not attending regularly, and move the dial on that. And you can see where in the attendance, where we're right now, higher in attendance rates than we had been. Not by much, but we, in most districts, their attendance is low, a lot lower than it typically would be in person. And ours is at or higher than what we normally have at this time of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great to see those, all that data like that. That really, you guys, they're going after the kids. That's really great. They're not just letting it go and letting them slide through. That's great. Any other questions or comments? All righty. Special report from Chanel about reopening the school info. Is she around, Mike, or is that you?
No, Chanel's going to provide a couple of things for you. We, there have been other districts and board members or what have you that have asked how we arrived to the point where we are, or this was probably in October, how with our success and CDL and also attendance. The attendance piece is really complicated, by the way. It was tough to tackle, and our principals really nailed that down in a hurry on attendance for us, and quite a few districts are still struggling with how to track attendance out there. It's if your teachers really are not on it every period of the day, then you don't have accurate attendance, and with what ODE has set out as an expectation. But anyway, getting everything together and how we got, how we engaged our community and our staff in the decision making, and not running in, or really collaborating on agreements and how we could move into this online instruction, this completely different system, and using all that feedback and developing F&Q sheets for parents and folks to follow on how to get things done, how to engage and navigate through the technology and such. And anyway, so Chanel put together a video that starts way back when in the summer and kind of moved us through October, and it's a highlight video. And then in her second presentation, she's going to talk more about data based on the surveys, recent surveys.
Okay, well, thank you for the introduction. You saved me from doing it.
Yeah,
well, let me share my screen real quick and I will play this video for you guys. Can you guys all see it?
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the video, which was a glimpse at how we got where we are. So of course, now our leadership team is still on it, still planning, working on looking at the future weeks. So we have sent out a survey to the Creswell community, including the parents, students, and staff. And so let me switch my screen here. That we've So survey results, we keep in mind the community survey has been out for a week, and the staff survey has just been out for 48 hours. So this is kind of a first glance at what we've collected so far. Whoops, sorry. So of the responses, we've had a 65% response rate from the community and almost the same for staff. And the breakdown by school is up there from Crest Lane, the middle school, and the high school. So one of the questions asked to both the community and staff was how distance learning is going. For 77% of our students, distance learning is going good or okay, whereas 23% of our students are struggling. For our staff, we have 23% who think that virtual learning is a good fit. 75% would agree with that it's okay, it's not ideal, but they're making the best of it. And 2% of our staff say that it's not going well. The community was asked how they felt CDL compared with the emergency education last spring. And as a result, 78% think it's going better than last spring. So when asking students what they enjoy or find challenging about distance learning, this was kind of a short summary. A lot of these statements were I was seeing frequently throughout the comments. And so things they enjoy: sleeping in and staying at home, the flexibility, shorter schedule, working at their own pace, no classroom distractions, Zoom meetings, and Acellus. And then the ones they found challenging: staying focused and on task, too much screen time, missing the social interactions, motivation and engagement, asking for help. And while some students enjoyed Zoom meetings and Acellus, some also said that is a challenge for them. So that went both ways. We asked how the schedules are working for students. And 60% of the responses said that the student schedules are working fine. Where some people, smaller percentage, thought that there's not enough learning time or the schedule's confusing and hard to keep track of. Whereas just a few people thought that there's too much learning time or not enough breaks in the schedule. Workload for students, 66% say the students' workload is well balanced. And then almost an even split at 100 people responding that there's too much work and 100 people saying there's not enough work. Our evening tutoring program, we had 83 students total respond that they used the program. And that graph there just breaks it down by the grade level. And then each school, sorry, I can't see. 5% of the enrollment at Crest Lane is using it, 10% at the middle school, and 8% of high school students are utilizing the evening tutoring program. So of course, for planning, we want to know what students, how many students plan to return to in-person learning versus staying online until the end of the year if opening schools back up is an option. And so what we found from those that have responded so far is that 73% of students want to return to in-person learning, whereas 27% of parents said that they will keep their students online until the end of the year. We asked both the staff and the community their feedback for what kind of schedule hybrid model they would prefer. I'm putting the options out there of 2 days a week or half days daily. 48% of both staff and community felt the same for 2 days a week option. And then you can see that 25% of the community and 33% of the staff have no preference. And the rest of the data that I'm going to show you is staff specific. So on the staff survey, this was the breakdown of who has completed it so far. We're hoping to pull in at least another 20% so we can get close to the 85% mark for all the employees taking it and getting their feedback. We asked them where they're currently working at, whether that's from home, from the building, or a combination of both. And right now we have about 45% of the staff is working from home every day or most days, whereas 41 are working from the building, and then 14 are doing a combination of both. So one of the big hot questions, do you feel safe coming back to teach in the building? That graph there is a comparison from asking them right now, and we asked that same question back in a survey we sent out in August. So the number has grown for the staff members that do not feel safe returning to the building. Currently, we're at 39% do not feel safe working in the building with students present. So breaking down the metrics, the definitions here on the screen: low risk, moderate risk, transition level, and high risk. We asked the staff when they would consider it safe to return. And you can see here that 51% think it'd be safe when we're in the metric category of low, compared to 10 people would be fine coming back when we're rated as high risk. So we have said that, of course, we'll enforce all PPE and social distancing protocols, but we wanted to ask what other precautions or measures that we could put in place that would make the staff feel safe working in the building. And so in addition to the standard ones of everyone wearing a mask, 6 feet apart, proper sanitation requirements, groups of 20 or less, and no more than 2 cohorts per day per student, there were staff that requested vaccinations, daily temp checks for staff and students, air purifiers, use of outdoor learning environment, and accountability or consequence for breaking protocols. And this here is a list of 6 questions that we asked staff. They could check multiple ones that apply to them, but we asked them if they're ready to work in the building when students come back, and 72 said they are. If needed or the opportunity arises, would you teach students that remain in CDL? And 53 checked that they would. 10 staff members said that they do not feel safe to return to work in the building this year. And 9 staff members said that they cannot return to work in the building due to their health or the health of someone they live with. One staff member indicated they will need to pursue their options for a leave of absence. And then 22 of the 100 respondents said that they're ready to work in the building, but they have other barriers to returning. And when asked what those barriers are, the most common one was childcare. And then we had posed a question for coaches, asking them if they feel safe conducting workouts, conditioning programs, and coaching activities. And of the 12 coaches that responded, 11 feel safe, and 1 of the coaches does not feel safe. Any questions, thoughts, or comments?
Chanel, I really appreciate seeing the data, and I really appreciate knowing how the teachers are feeling. I'm sure I'm going to have questions, but I'm a bit of a processor, so I may just need to think for a little bit about all that data that we just saw. But I really appreciate seeing it.
You're welcome.
So I also appreciate it. I'm also an analyzer by, that's just my personality. But I guess my question is to Mike and maybe to Chanel, like what are our steps from here? You know, we've surveyed, we have the data. What does this lead us to next?
So, well, we need to process the data as well and actually get complete data. So we need to finish up the responses. We're looking for quite a bit more input from both, well, parents, maybe not quite a bit more. I would say 50 to 100 more responses, but staff looking for more input. And Chanel has sent out messages to specific staff members who did not respond, asking them for their input to respond to the survey. So we'll get that information in. What we do is we're looking at the numbers here of the match. If we have 70% of our students or so that or parents that say their students will come to school, and 60% of our staff that will come to school, we have to do some strategizing there on how we're going to make that match. If, for example, in the middle and high schools, there's subject area teachers. So if they're not comfortable or they can't come back to school with students because of underlying conditions or at home or with themselves, okay, well then if that's a math teacher, then we're going to have to figure out a way to teach math in class. Or how will we accomplish teaching math to those students when that teacher cannot be present? And but it gives us a number, first of all, how many students we need to accommodate in the building with the classroom spaces that we have allowed when we factor in the social distancing of 6 squared for each student. So how many students do we have to fit into the classrooms? We also need to know how many classes we're going to have in a day. For example, the high school is on a 4x4 schedule, but they can only be in 2 cohorts a day. So, or is that a A day and a B day? We can get all kids through all 4 classes during the week. And then at the elementary level, how much space do we have? If we have 90 second graders and 40 kinders, we'll say, but our classrooms will only allow 15 kids in a classroom, how many spaces do we have available before we run out of grades that we can't have in this building? And so then are we going to have K through 3 on Monday, 4th and 5th on Tuesday, Thursday K3, Friday 4-5? I mean, that kind of thing. So that helps us figure out the space needs for the number of kids that we'll have coming in. And then how can we match up those elementary groups with teachers that would be in. It's a real challenge when you're looking at 40% of the staff who do not feel safe coming in. And to be honest with you, I expected that number to be higher. Not that that's a low number, but with the case counts where they're at and what we're seeing, especially the growth in Creswell at about 7 to 8 cases a day on the average confirmed cases, you know, I was expecting probably a little bit higher, maybe 50-50 on that.
Mhm.
So we've got to get to a place where we have more than 60% of our teachers that feel safe coming into our schools. So when we ask them, what can we do beyond what's required to make you feel safer and ready to come back? Now we have to look at that list and strategize on how we might accomplish those things to make it a safer environment. As they say, you know, they say, and things change about what they say, but that students are not impacted by this virus as greatly as adults are. But the adults are. And the teachers, they understand, they know that there's a fear there. But we can't run short on them because we have no one to backfill for them. There's not any district that has the number of subs that they need to replace a teacher for in-person instruction. In fact, there's a shortage for online subs right now in districts. So anyway, there's a lot to grapple with there. We have a lot of good information to kind of tease out of this survey, and Chanel did a great job putting that survey together and pulling all the information and data in for us to be able to kind of pick this apart. But I really have to get together with the district leadership team, and we will analyze this as an entire group and put all of our heads on it, just as we did to get to where we're at right now.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks.
Mike, I'm assuming that when you start putting together the back to school plan, it also includes the plan of what do you do when a teacher or a group becomes infected or needs to quarantine, right? Because if we have no subs and then a whole group goes out, then that whole group receives maybe no education for those 2 weeks until they, you know, finish quarantine and pop back in. Because if we have no subs to keep it going.
Right. Then we're what we would like to have is a plan for any student or group of students who are quarantined for 14 days, that we have a distance learning plan for them. So we shift right into that mode and we don't miss a beat.
Okay.
And then we come right back in after that quarantine period to the classroom and move. But so if we have teachers at the high school, they'll have up to 3 groups. They can have 3 cohorts a day. Teachers can. Students are in 2 cohorts, but teachers can be in 3 cohorts a day. So if it's a staff member, now we have 3 cohorts that we're going to need to quarantine. Or if it's a student who's in 2 cohorts, we have to quarantine those 2 cohorts. Mm-hmm. And I don't know in any of the scenarios that we've looked at where students would not be in the maximum 2 cohorts a day. Mm-hmm. The bus is 1 cohort and the classroom is another. And if they go from a classroom to music or PE, well, you know, you start to see how the limitations occur in the building. And plus, the maximum time that a student could be in school on a day is 2 hours. And it's not supplemental learning. It's supported curriculum. So it's to support the curriculum that we're delivering online, because we're still required to provide CDL to every kid because we're in CDL. Every district in Lane County is in CDL. So they get 2 hours in the building, but they also have to provide that 2.5 hours of CDL to every kid every day. That's the ODE requirement. It's a challenge. Now we're telling teachers, you need to prepare 2 less. Well, I mean, you know, could be, unless we figure out a different strategy. But, you know, a teacher then would have 2 groups of students or 3 in school, in person, but then be providing 2 hours of curriculum instruction online for them as well today. So do we have then teachers teaming up where they team teach the 2 groups? If one is in person and then the other one is doing the online instruction, that's one approach, or something to that nature. Yeah,
I just want to make, I have a question. I just want to make sure I understand that right now, under the current metrics, we can't open, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
No, we're directed out. No, can't come in at all. We're in the extreme risk category. Not high, we're beyond the high risk. We're in the extreme risk.
Right. Okay. I just want to make sure I understood that correctly.
So we need vaccinations really soon.
And the teachers want those. They're saying we want to see those happening. So
I want them for the teachers too.
I wouldn't say they all would jump in line to get a vaccine, but they certainly would like to see the community safer with vaccines or the option to have vaccines. Yeah. You know, the governor is advocating for teachers to be next in line after the first responders and medical personnel. They'd like to see teachers in that 3rd tier for receiving those vaccines so that we can get kids back in school. This is this thing where the 40% is of teachers who don't feel safe coming in. That number, I've seen that number reverse where it was 60-40. 60 won't come in, don't feel safe coming in. 40% might come in or something like that. But that's that's a huge concern for every teacher coming in is getting that virus.
So Mike, before the teacher specific data, there was a slide that showed 23% of our students said they were struggling. And that doesn't specify whether they're struggling academically or emotionally, emotionally, mentally. So that's 350 kids out of our district. So that number seems, heartbreaking.
The 27% didn't represent 300 kids in the district in this survey.
No, the math I did was if there was 23% that said they were struggling, I just took 23% of our 1,500 total enrollment, right? I know that's not the number of people that have responded. So I was just trying to extrapolate.
Our total enrollment is 1,100.
Oh, are we excluding the online academy? I thought we had closer to 1,500 kids. Okay, sorry, that's totally my bad memory on our total number. My question or concern is that's a lot of kids that are struggling. And I know as I read the principal reports, they're doing a tremendous job at reaching out, making sure they're in classes. So that makes me feel good knowing like we are trying to track every individual student down to the individual student. I I'm just saddened by that statistic. I don't think I have any other comment or a question. It's just when it gets into the hundreds, I'm just saddened by that.
It's not easy, and I feel you. We all feel that number every day, and you pointed out that the administrators and the staff in the buildings, they're doing everything they can. I think that we have the most comprehensive approach to this that anyone I know of, and in fact others have commented on that too from outside the district. But
yeah, I know.
And that number is higher in other places. Other places don't really matter. Well, I wouldn't say they don't matter, but my concern is our Creswell kids at 23%.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, we want that number down. So we're looking for ways that we can impact that number with limited in-person instruction. And those students who are really in the highest needs,
Mm-hmm.
that we can help out, that are struggling the most.
Yeah.
That's our focus right now. Our plan is to work on that and get that number down.
Thank
And
you for prioritizing those kids, the struggling kids. They're the ones that we need to get back into school first.
right.
Thank you.
And if I were, I mean, just off the top of my head, and I was asked this question the other day, who are those that are struggling most, you know? And I would say that the most are the littles, the kindergarten first graders.
Mhm.
This is the toughest on them. And if you think about their reading progress, their literacy progress with reading, especially, doing this online, that's my concern. That would be one of my first concerns. Our seniors that are struggling, that we want to graduate,
Mhm.
there's another concern right there off the top. Our English language learners and processing language online without having that person-to-person in front of them to help process the English language would be another group. Our special education students that need that one-on-one time or small group focus time is another. We can go on, but those are the ones off the top of what I've been looking at on how we can impact that 23% the most. I mean, when I'm talking the most, I'm talking 70% of them.
Mhm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Work to do. We always have work to do, but we have a plan.
Yeah.
We're not stuck without a plan. We're always planning. And we get caught in the shift of the guidelines. They shift week to week, and we're kind of planning on targets that keep moving. And the metrics has shifted and changed just, I think, twice in the last 3 weeks from OHA and the state. And so, and how to interpret, there's different definitions that they come up with for each of the levels of the metrics and the exceptions to those levels, and then the allowances for those exceptions. And I mean, it's hard to keep up with, but Plan A has been consistent. Plan B, we've continued to shift our blueprints to. We're really focused, honing in on that limited in-person instruction for those small groups. And we see that as a reality. The only thing that might shut that down or stop that would be a complete shutdown from the governor, which is what happened last March. But we see that coming to fruition at some point after the first of the year. I was talking with Mike about this the other day. You know, the patterns are clear after holiday weekends or breaks. And, you know, Thanksgiving, we're starting to enter into the Thanksgiving surge now. I mean, it's really on top of us. The surge that we had 2 weeks ago was minor compared to the one that we're headed into for the next 2 weeks. And then we have the winter break and Christmas, and then New Year's. And the surge happens within a week after, and it continues for the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if we're looking at New Year's as the one that comes in at the end of the break, and where those numbers, case counts, confirmed cases might level out, well, we could see that maybe by the end of January, if we're looking at that pattern of 2 weeks to 3 weeks. And that puts us right into our second semester. So within January, we could see our blueprints for limited in-person instruction for those real small groups of kids that have high needs working out. We're completely focused on that as a leadership team. And the survey is going to help us out, because then we'll know who would be available to come in if we can see some relief in these numbers as far as staff working with those kids in person.
Great. I really appreciate the update and the survey data. Thank you both.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Ashley, you doing okay?
Yeah.
Chanel, that was a great presentation. Thank you very, very much for putting all that together. I got to ask you, how's Chase doing?
Chase is doing great. He is a freshman here at Creswell.
I owe you an apology. When you first came to school, I didn't realize where you were from, but we met you when we went to the school to interview Mike and the different people there.
That's okay. You met a lot of people, so.
Yeah, but
No
there's
hard
one
feelings.
young man that really impressed us, and he was a guy. No, I'm glad to hear he's doing well. That's great. But thank you very, very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, Mike, you're on.
Oh, that's
What have
right.
you been up to?
Oh, well, not much. Let's see. Let me get my report up here real quick. Well, you know, the OSBA conference, I was looking at my notes from the conference and trying to chase down some things in Creswell based on what I was seeing there at that conference, and starting to look at what's going on with our SIA plan and how we can start bringing some things in with that, with our kids and what we were planning to do. So we've shifted some things around, some resources, and we've been collaborating with the Ramsey Corporation to bring in some of that personal finance curriculum. And that'll happen in the second semester. So we're going to start supplementing some curriculum with that personal finance curriculum, which is awesome. It's going to be consistent with what the parents are learning in the groups that Lacey was referring to earlier. But kids need that so much, and especially right now. You know, we can, so we're taking advantage of this opportunity to start really designing curriculum that is reflecting the needs that we identified as an entire community when we were doing the strategic planning and the student investment account, the plan for the SIA. So let's see.
Mike, I am so excited that you're bringing personal finance into the high school. That is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And I think when we teach kids how to be successful with money in their life, it makes all the rest of their education worth it. I mean, it just kind of bolsters all of that. So I don't want to send them out into the world listening to commercials on how to be successful with money. So I really appreciate that effort there.
Yeah, it's something that other districts are trying to figure out how to do that, how to get back to that curriculum. And, you know, at the high school here, Mona and Jenny and Brandon, they're working on that, and collaborating. Chanel's working with them on the SIA plan and bringing that in. So I think they didn't just sign the deal today, Chanel. The contract didn't come up today
For which one?
for the personal finance, the Ramsey Corporation?
Yeah, we got that finalized yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay. Great. Yeah, kids are going to need it. Parents are going to love that their kids are learning how to
Yes.
budget money for the future. We had a great beeper show. I mean, I do the beeper show every month, but man, Amy Aguero, our student services director, and Catherine and Kaylee Dumas from the Family Resource Center, they hit it out of the park. They did. I mean, Cindy on the other end from the Beeper Show called me later and said that was great. You guys are doing a lot out there in Creswell for your kids and families. And those two are really hustling out there to keep up with the needs of our community. Catherine and Kaylee, they're just fantastic. And Amy, she supports them a lot. We all do, but she's their first line of support, and they're doing a great job. That was a good talk show. And the rest of it's all, around meetings and trying to keep up with the adjustments from ODE and OHA and what we're doing with the metrics and the guidance. I mean, I've become like a guidance kind of an interpreter. I just read guidance every day. I can't keep up. I mean, there's a ton of it. I try to get it all, but I can't get it all. I just keep attending these meetings so I can, get more and more of it to try and keep us ahead in the best I can.
Well, Mike, every time
Any questions for Mike?
I was just going to say, every time I call Mike, he is aware of what's happening and knows the scoop. So I think you're doing a great job of trying to stay on top of all of that. So thanks for all the extra time and effort that you put into that.
I ditto that. Thank you very much.
I got lots of help. This A team here at the district level, Amy Aguero and the building level administrators and Joel and Chanel, we're just always, they're always working on it. And now we have Brianna in the office and she's on top of things. She's getting to it too. So, I mean, everybody's got their hands and feet into this stuff. It's really good to have a team that shares the load like this. It's the only way it gets done.
Yeah, do that. Oh, that's great. Any other questions or comments? If not, let's see. Any board requests, any ideas you have, anything you want to talk about, or any training or anything, don't be bashful. Get a hold of Mike or myself or Lacey. Let us know what you want to talk about. And we'll make sure it gets brought up whenever we can get it as quick as we can. Be aware of the calendar, and the school's out, the 21st through the 1st. And then our next board meeting is the 13th. And let's see, other than that, I think we're about done, aren't we? Any other questions, Lacey?
So Mike, I don't think you or your principals have actually had a break. So hopefully for winter break, they can actually take some time off. I don't think summer break existed for you guys. I don't think spring break, Thanksgiving break, any of those breaks. So just please, I encourage you and your team and all of our teachers to just do what they can to rest and relax over the winter break that's coming.
No, I would tell you, thank you, Lacey, for that. I would tell you, I was so proud of my team on Thanksgiving. They were out. We had a Thanksgiving. We took vacation on Thanksgiving, and they all did. And when they came, I mean, it was exciting when we got back together. I mean, it just really was. And I know they feel the same way. It's a really close group. But yeah, we're going to get a break. They're going to take their break.
Good.
Yep.
Great.
Candace?
I just have one quick thing. It's mostly for Mike. Do we have another policy committee meeting next month?
Well, we're going to need one, aren't we?
That's my nice way of saying that.
I'll send a notice out so we can get back on that list. Yeah.
Okay, great.
We'll probably have one a month I think for the next couple, at least till spring break.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Mike.
Any other questions or comments? All righty, if not, oh, by the way, Anna, congratulations again and enjoy.
We will miss you, Anna.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'll miss you a lot too.
Thank you for all you've done.
You
We really appreciate it. All right, if no other comments or questions, we are adjourned.
Okay.
You guys